On the 20th of May, one of the most groundbreaking shows in history is finally coming to an end, whether you like it or not. So without further ado, I'm Shahir, and let's get into some predictions. Now this is my first time doing this on the channel, so we're going to be doing it a bit differently to everyone else. First, we're going to address the canon ending from the comics, which is definitely not going to be followed by the show. But nevertheless, we're going to have some aspects that are going to be similar. Then we're going to cover some of my personal favorite predictions from the fans, and at the very end, you'll get a high again certified prediction. So stay tuned for that and see if you agree. Anyway, enough yapping and let's go. Now, in the comics, Homelander meets his demise due to Black Noir, who is revealed to be Homelander's clone, and that's definitely not gonna happen with what happened in episode 6. Maybe something along the lines of Butcher and Soldier Boy coming together to kill Homelander in a brutal fight would be something closer to the show's approach. This would be incredibly funny and also really satisfying, because at this stage he thinks he's the most powerful man on earth, he's never gonna die, and he has an extreme god complex. And he ends up losing to someone who he thought believed in him, as well as the same man he mocked for season upon season. It's definitely ironic and, in my opinion, a solid conclusion to his character, showing that his ultimate demise was due to his weakness of being overconfident in his own ability and his ego getting in his own way. Also in the comics, after Butcher kills Black Noir, he reveals that he's planning to kill every human who was exposed to Compound V, even his own teammates, and Butcher goes on an insane soup killing spree, taking out Love Sausage, who's actually already dead, so that definitely wouldn't happen, Frenchman, and Kimiko. Huey then has a big confrontation with Butcher on top of the Empire State Building, where he ends up killing Butcher. I think that this conclusion to Butcher's character sums him up really well. In the show, he's definitely go on a mass soup genocide, which is exactly what he does in the comics. And he'll probably also eventually die to Huey, with a smile on his face, because he'll be satisfied with the outcome he worked so hard for. Homelander will finally be dead, he would have got his revenge, and he also would have attempted to kill all soups. But this is in the comic. So far we see Kimiko with no plans of attempting to gain immortality through V1, and the same with Annie. And well, he never had powers to begin with. And also, he pretty much accepts his fate in episode 6. I mean, did you hear the way that guy was talking? He pretty much knows that he's a dead man. And the sad thing is, he doesn't really care. Huey, basically being the main character, also has a pretty good ending in the comics. He kills Butcher, and granted he is traumatized because his whole team's dead. He does complete his goal, which was to help kill Homelander. He actually gets a nice little ending with Annie, where they all live, I guess you could say, quote-unquote happily ever after. If you want me to be totally honest, out of the few that I've selected, this is actually one of the better endings, and I think it wouldn't really be that badly received if the core elements were actually part of the boys' show's ending. Now Reddit is going crazy with these predictions, but the next one is kind of depressing but actually seems like the most realistic. In one of the earlier episodes in season 5, it was either 3 or 4, Stan Edgar foreshadowed that the boys can't really defeat the greatest system of money and corporate greed, which Vought represents. They can't stop superheroes from being produced, and even if they do, something else will eventually take its place. It's actually really weird that they're the main forces of fighting against the evil soups, and yet they're pretty much the most incompetent individuals you see in the entire show. They barely get any definitive victories. The only soups they do kill have literally no contribution to the main plot. And the soups that die who are important usually die because of Homelander. Like, it's taken them 5 whole seasons to get to this point where even now it doesn't seem like they're going to be able to take Homelander. They've got 2 episodes to do it. I mean, it's anyone's game at this point. All in all, this ending is predicted to have someone else take Homelander's place, whether that be some sort of AI or maybe just another superhero like Ryan. I mean, he does have Homelander's powers. He's capable of disregarding human life. His entire childhood is literally full of trauma. There's not really a universe I see him switching up and becoming the pure-hearted Superman of the boys' world. In this prediction, Homelander dies and the public mourns him. Butcher certainly dies without having accomplished much apparently, beyond his constant war with Homelander. Frenchie and Kimiko all die, while Huey and Starlight, who somehow loses her powers, will probably move on and put all of this behind them, while Vought rebrands and lives on with new supers to replace the Seven. In terms of likelihood, I don't think this ending is going to be that close to what's actually going to come up. Anyways, on to the next one. Now, this prediction is actually pretty good, and I don't know if I'm going to go too into detail because it's pretty blunt, but I'll just say it for what it is. They predict that there's going to be a final battle in the White House, which is pretty crazy. Annie kills the Deep, Ashley kills O-Father, Kimiko/MM kills Sage, Homelander turns on Soldier Boy, and a radiation blast depowers Homelander. Homelander is then pathetically beaten to death by Butcher/Ryan, maybe even others. And then Butcher/Kessler, the character from season 4, argue over genocide and whether or not he should actually kill every supe in existence. And eventually he tries to go through with it, but Huey stops him and kills Butcher. Kimiko somehow dies, survives and kills Edgar, and then Ashley, as the new president of the United States of America, tries to fix everything and return America to some form of normality. Now, in terms of epic showdown, this prediction definitely wins. I would love to see the White House and what the boys do to it. I think in the trailer we did actually see Homelander in the Oval Office, smiling his usual smile at what I think would be Butcher. So, although this ending may sound a little crazy, it might not be that far from the truth. Now, I know you've all been anticipating this very moment. What's the big guy gonna say? What's he gonna think about the ending? What is his prediction? Well, ladies and gentlemen, let me present to you the High Again certified prediction for the boys' ending. Now, in my humble opinion, this may sound a bit out there, but Homelander is gonna end himself. All the Force Stormfront plot leads to this. I mean, where did they bring that shit up from? That was like last season, she's fully gone, but somehow Soldier Boy misses her, and that's a good enough reason to bring her back and just push her back into the plot. The way I think it's gonna go down is Soldier Boy is genuinely pissed about how Stormfront ended up alone, abused and disrespected. And Sister Sage is gonna be surprised because her plan is actually working. Because Soldier Boy can't let that shit go unpunished. He can't let Homelander get away with whatever he did to Stormfront. You see, I think Soldier Boy is a little smarter than the show actually allows him to be perceived as. The reason why Sage didn't actually predict that Soldier Boy would give Homelander the V1 serum was because she never factored in Soldier Boy's feelings or his possible intelligent own plan. Soldier Boy was probably afraid that he'd kill Homelander if he used his full force blast on him. But now, after using it on Bombsight, he knows that he can full on delete V1 superpowers without doing any damage to the superheroes. He wants this for Homelander. He wants to let Homelander believe that he is a new god. He wants Homelander to believe all this pathetic, delusional and all-powerful bullcrap. Because the show always is trying to emphasize how Homelander is nothing special without the powers. He's just a piece of shit. Then, at the peak of his success, Soldier Boy is gonna stab his own son right in the back and make sure that he will fully experience the consequences of being a normal being. And the boys, I don't know what they're gonna do, but probably let him go. A fate worse than death. Homelander, who once had a god complex, is now no one, a nothing. Not long after, Homelander's gonna off himself, dying like Stormfront, just as Soldier Boy wanted. Instead of being used as a tool, Soldier Boy is the one who ends Homelander. And you know what? He did it his way. Yeah, I know what you may be thinking. How much of this is actually you predicting it, and how much of this is just you chatting out your ass? Well, it's a solid 50-50 split. But let me be completely and totally honest and transparent with you guys. This is my real and final best guess at how the show's gonna end based on what we've been given, and especially episodes 5 and 6. I'm gonna contribute that much. And in terms of the plot before this season, it does actually tie in very well. I'm not too sure how, but you guys can think about that. I guess the only part I oversaw about this ending is that it doesn't actually include the boys, which is pretty much the entire show, but you know, I'm sure they fit into this picture somehow. And once again, you guys can decide that. But let me know down in the comments below, do you think this is a good prediction on the ending? Obviously it's not complete, but I think it's solid. And honestly, if it ended like this, it would genuinely be deserved, because Homelander's done some crazy stuff and he deserves to pay for it in the worst way possible. So thank you guys for watching, and you know, leave your thoughts down below.